and we will invite our presenters for the Google Classroom Accessibility Features segment to make their way to the podium to be seated. And so for the Google Classroom Accessibility Features segment of today's presentation, we have Ms. Joyanne Harrigan, Education Officer of the Special Education Needs Unit. And we also have Ms. Ayana Shadrack, Senior Teacher within the Special Education Needs Unit, both joining us from Antigua and Barbuda within the Ministry of Education. And to begin the presentation, I will now invite Ms. Joyanne Harrigan to make the first presentation for this segment. Please welcome her.
Good afternoon, everyone. I trust that you've been learning quite a bit, and as one of our presenters said earlier, practice, practice, practice. Practice, practice, practice. This morning, in the remarks I gave, I said that in order for an educator today to remain relevant, you have to be able to use technology to reach all our learners. And I'd just like to reiterate that. Diversity and inclusion includes using technology to reach different types of learners in our classrooms. All right. So my section, I'm going to be talking a little bit about tools that can be used in Google Classrooms. And yes, this is the welcome. And I would like, next slide please, everybody to scan this QR code. Oh, sorry, the objectives. By the end of this session, participants will be able to identify barriers faced by diverse learners using Google Classroom accessibility features, design accessible assignments, apply UDL principles, universal design for learning, and increase independent student access. Next slide. Okay, I'm not seeing the QR code. Is core philosophy, yes. For accessible design, inclusive classrooms require inclusive digital spaces, and students in our classrooms are multi-leveled and multi-level learning. They have different challenges: dyslexia, ADHD, autism spectrum disorder, visual impairments, hearing impairments, language-based learning disabilities, and executive functioning challenges. So, if a student cannot access the task independently that you have given them, is the barrier the student or in the design of the task? You're a teacher. If the student cannot access the task, you have set it out on the board or you have given them a written paper, they cannot access it, they cannot understand, they do not know what to do. Is the challenge, is the barrier in the student themselves or in the design, the way in which you presented it? It's in the presentation. Thank you. Here is a question for Mentimeter. And go now, use your devices to www.menti.com. Enter the code 5570219 The question to be answered, one word. Your answer is in one single word. 55702198. What is the biggest challenge students face when accessing online assignments? So you've learned how to put assignments into Google Classroom, and you have gotten a few tools on how to use the Google Classroom. Check for input your assignment, check for the grades, give the feedback to the student. So far, am I correct? You've learned all of that from the presenters before me. Good. What is the biggest challenge students face when accessing the online assignments? Put it in your Menti. www.menti.com, and the code is 55702198. Not seeing anything. The internet is out. All right, let's move on. I am assuming that you would have internet, reading challenge, student not organized, the instruction was not clear, they are not motivated, the language is a barrier. Yeah, can you bring up the QR code so that persons can scan that now, please? Slide number 3. The language is a barrier, and the attention, the child has lost focus. And those would be some challenges faced by students when given online assignments. Scan this code and save the handout. You will need that information as I go through. And in the interest of time, I'm going to go through pretty quickly. There's a pop-up there that's blocking the code. Okay. Scan the code and save the handout. On the handout, you will find a glossary of terms used. A glossary of terms used for inclusive educators. They are significant terms, and once you're reaching a diverse set of learners, please ensure that these terms become familiar to you. Okay. As I move on, I'm going backwards. Accessible assessment design. It begins with the way the assessment is designed. There are different ways that you can make and tweak it to ensure that you reach a diverse set of learners. Chunk your instructions. Laura spoke about chunking in her presentation. Graphic organizers is another one, especially for the students who have ASD and ADHD. Okay, graphic organizers. And in the handout that you would have scanned from the barcode, the second on page 6, reading comprehension planning template. On page 6, that is an example of a graphic organizer that you would use for those students who would, even if they are not diagnosed with autism, there are students, quite a number of students, who present with symptoms that are similar to those of autism. And they too will need a graphic organizer to help them to stay on task. They are in the classroom. You want it in the classroom. So what do? You go online, you search on Google for a graphic organizer, you type in the subject, the topic, the time frame, and you download and save it, and then you paste it in your Google Classroom for that student. Latoya showed you, Honore showed you how to target individual students, right? And you go into the review. So you put the graphic organizer only for those students who need it. Those are tools in Google Classroom. Rubrics are important. Checklists are important. And multiple response options. So move on in your handout to page, scroll through your handout. Oh, the rubric is in the back. Sorry. The rubric is on page 21. That is what a rubric looks like. And the checklist is further to the front on page UDL checklist. It says page 17. Page 17 and page 20 has examples of UDL checklists for you to use. These are important. You also put those in your resources in Google Classroom so that when the parent is assisting the student, the parent can use the checklist to help to guide the student with completing the assignment. And the parents will know that they cannot come to you and argue for grades because they are using the checklist and guiding the student along. For the older students, those in high school, secondary schools, once you put the resources there, they can follow along themselves and use the tool. As they complete something, they move on to the next one. Okay, so building an accessible assignment. You would have had some instructions earlier from Vivian and Miss Daly, Mrs. Greenaway and Miss Daly on how to do an assignment in Google Classroom, so I'm not going to go through that. But using the handout that you scan, again, you can go through that information and the instructions are there. So you've gotten it twice. From that first presentation, and now you have it in a handout. Follow and practice, practice, practice. Use your summer vacation to practice. Let me just add a little note here. As you're building your assignments, please ensure that you are reaching students in 3 modes at least. We have 5 senses. If you are planning, teachers, educators, if you plan a lesson, you're given instructions and using activities. If you include 3 modes, 3 senses, something visual, something auditory, something kinesthetic within your assignment, or something tactile, any 3, you have to reach the majority of learners, those without challenges and those with challenges. You have to reach everybody. Your assignments have to be multimodal. They just have to be. Or we have a diverse set of learners, and I may learn more tactile, hands-on, and listening. Some persons learn by seeing and doing. Please Make your lessons multimodal, not just auditory. Many of us as educators just want to stand up and talk, and talk, and talk, and talk, and talk. And we think that by doing that, we're reaching everybody because they may have hearing. That is not so at all. So we move on to the next tool, screen readers and alternative text. Screen readers are available on most devices, most modern devices. It helps students who are low vision, who experience blindness and reading difficulties. The benefits are it allows for independent access, improved navigation, and better comprehension. Okay? And here is instructions for getting screen readers on Google Slides. And Google Slides is just one. You can do it for your entire laptop or tablet, but you may not want that. You have, for those of you who use Apple devices, it's simple to use. You can just go into the settings and turn on screen reader. On Google, there is a little microphone in the top right-hand corner of the search bar. What's the name of the lady again? In Google? Nobody remember. We calls her name? For Apple, it's Siri. No, Gemini, Alexa. And it was my son, my last son, who taught me about Alexa. In trying to assist him with homework, he just moved back. And I said, but come close, what are you doing? He says, Alexa, please find XYZ. And Alexa answered and found the information and brought it up on the screen. And then he said, Alexa, please read the script in the document. So even by voice, you can just give the command and Alexa or Siri will read for you. That is an excellent tool and students know how to use it. So educators, I'm asking you, become au fait, get with it. Because, my son was in primary school and taught me about Alexa. You too can learn. This morning, an alternative text is coming with the text to the videos. So if all of us had some printouts this morning and I did put those instructions in my group, if everybody come with text to the videos to explain what is in a video, to explain the instruction from slide to slide, we would have moved on a long time ago. So alternative text, teachers, it's another way to use, another tool that can be used. Because there are times when technology fails us and there are glitches, setbacks, power failures. Always have your alternative text. So you teach the children that. Teach the students that as well. Always have alternative text. For your accessibility checklist, avoid image-only instructions. Avoid tiny fonts. And avoid poor color contrast. If you are unsure, teachers, Google it. Yes, if you are unsure, Google it. Use bold headings, consistent layout, readable font. Some persons like to use stylish fonts. I have challenges with them. And I can imagine students with challenges. And not just students with visual challenges, because there are students who have perceptive challenges and students with ADHD or autism. that certain fonts becomes jumbled to them. So look for the clean, clear, simple fonts. Clean, clear, and simple. Right? And use, again, alternative text. Always try to have a script and ensure that when they're coming with their presentation, that you get a script of it. So that if something fails, if only half uploads, you have the script, you can follow through, and they can get their grades. Okay, I'm moving along. Organizational tools for classroom. Google Classroom organizational tools. You demonstrate topics, you give due dates, schedule assignments. Some students may get 1 week, some may get 10 days, extended time, but you schedule them. Remember, not all students work at the same pace. Guided instructions. And there's where chunking comes in, or you can give them the instructions in 3 parts. Today, you give part 1. Monday, you give part 2. And by next week, Thursday, you give part 3. So that by the end of the month, they would have gotten all the parts and you can get a complete assignment. Okay? Each child with a challenge is different. Even if you have 2 students with ADHD and 2 students with intellectual disabilities, their level of involvement and engagement are very different. So I'm begging you, please, do not treat everybody the same. It's not one brush paints all. Children, use Google Classroom and give each student their instructions based on their needs. Google Classroom makes that available for you. Okay, we move on. There is, just tell me what are some of the barriers that can be identified when students are given an assignment like this. Are you ready? Are you listening? Read chapter 3. Oh, well, usually teachers like to say, open your textbook, turn to page 45. Who's laughing? Sounds familiar? Open your textbook, turn to page 45. Read chapter 3 and write an essay. This is due tomorrow. Have I given instructions? Have I given instructions? Yes. Tell me, what are the barriers to my instructions now? Think about it and all that I have shared. Tell me. Turn to page 45. Read chapter 3. Write an essay. It is due tomorrow. Somebody can't read. You need more time. It's not inclusive. It's foreign. Anybody else? Directions, what you said? Okay. What topic? What book? Organize the information. You're still only writing words. You cannot put sentences together. Excellent. Too many. Oh. So, educators, these are all the students in our classroom, you know. These are all the students and the challenges. So, these are the barriers. So, tell me now. Differentiate. See, I'm already getting it. Now, we're moving on in the interest of time. Tell me how to fix that. How do I fix that assignment? Yes. The mic is coming.
You will have students in the classroom that are tailored to what you ask them to do.
Yes.
You give them the opportunity to work. But those that you know have challenges, you give them limited work, like 1 or 2 sentences.
Okay. Good. Somebody else, tell me how to fix it. Let's go. Anybody online? Is there anybody St. Kitts, Grenada, Jamaica? No differentiation. I'm seeing, yes.
Miss Harrigan?
Yes.
I'm hoping that before you would have given the instruction or even started teaching the class, that you would have assessed your students to know their abilities.
Ah, good. As a teacher, I should know my class. And I should know that one would have problem with reading, one would have problem with instructions, following instructions, and so one would need more time because they're a slow writer. One would be have some learning challenges or reading challenges. Okay? And I'm just saying, read chapter 3. Write an essay. Due tomorrow. Individual assistance will be needed. Good. So you can give them, they can come to you. Right? Yes, go ahead. The product. Ah. So there are 3 things that UDL differentiates. Good? When, and we're... There are 3 things that Universal Design for Learning differentiates. As educators, we have to remember to do that. And differentiation looks at... Differentiation for UDL looks at your output, your content, and your product. Good? Very good. So, in essence, as I close, as I'm wrapping up, really and truly, we have to reach our students where they are. You can teach students who are challenged about rocket science. Do you know that? You can teach them anything. But you have to reach them at the level where they are. And it is how you present it. And any big word there is, you can find a smaller word for it. You all know that? Synonyms. Any big word, you can find a smaller word for it. So break it down for your students. Reach them for them to understand. Reach them where they are. And ensure that what you put into the Google Classroom, the text, you're doing it in at least 3 modes. You're giving them choices. So if you're giving them a project to do, your rubric must go in there. If you are giving them an assignment, a project, they should be able to produce it either in poem, in song, in a picture diagram, in a written text, if they can. They can do in a scrapbook, and the rubric remains the same as long as they have the content and what you need. Please ensure that you always use at least 3 modes to reach a diverse set of learners. In closing, remember, accessibility is not an accommodation added after you would have given your instructions. It is the intentional design of learning environments that allow every student, to access, participate in, and demonstrate learning independently from the outset. Remember, Google Classroom is not simply a platform for distributing work. It is a tool for removing barriers and promoting independent access to learning for all students. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Harrigan, for your very interactive presentation. I know that we're coming to the end of a very informative day. And of course, that presentation would have provided us with a little of extra energy. So we really appreciate you for engaging us and for, of course, our participants. I want to open the floor to Mr. Dorr, who is the moderator in St. Kitts and Nevis, if he would like to share any feedback on behalf of the participants joining in the room there before we move on to the final presenter and bring today's engagement to a close. Mr. Dorr, the floor is yours if you will have it. I also acknowledge the positive feedback of participants online who have shared their appreciation for the interactive nature of today's engagement. I want to assure all of the participants in person, in St. Kitts and Nevis, Grenada, and the other Caribbean member states, and online, of course, that you will receive a copy of the video recording of today's session. We will also be sharing all of the video content, even the content that we may have had some technical difficulties with. You will have this at your disposal so that you can review, and you will also be able to get the presentations of each presenter. So that will also support you in your future engagement over the summer, as was asked, and with your students in September and beyond. Okay, so we do not have any comments from Mr. Dorr, but we thank Ms. James for her feedback, saying that the session was informative and interactive. We do appreciate this feedback. And so at this stage...
Hello?
One moment. I will introduce our final presenter for today's MIL Training for Educators Hybrid Workshop, Ms. Ayana Shadrack, Senior Teacher within the Special Education Needs Unit for the Ministry of Education of the Government of Antigua and Barbuda. Please welcome Ms. Shadrack as she makes the final presentation of the day.
Good afternoon, colleagues. It's been a long day, and in the interest of time and the fact that we have been experiencing technical difficulties all day, I will ask Ms. Phillip to present my slides for me while I make my presentation. Additionally, two documents will be added to the chat, which will have information pertaining to my presentation, as well as a document which has 2 QR codes for those persons who can access the same. It's the same information, but I just shared it in 2 different ways. You have to differentiate right through, you know. So, so I will be talking to you today on accessibility features, some that you can find in Google Classroom. You can use it. You can find them in Google, and you can use them in Google Classroom. A couple of my colleagues already, yes. Objectives. The objectives for this afternoon's presentation is for you to understand accessibility and inclusive digital learning, to explore accessibility features in Google Classroom, to learn about tools that support students with disabilities and learning differences, as well as to practice applying accessibility strategies in classroom scenarios. So I had a think, next slide please. I have a had a think pair share activity, but some of my colleagues already did 1 and 2. So 3 is important because nobody ever asked which strategy any teacher is currently using. We're just assuming that teachers are not using any accessibility strategies at all. So I do not want any of my colleagues in Antigua to respond to this question. I would like all online responses, please, because you guys seem to have fallen asleep. So for the online participants, share one strategy that you currently use to support accessibility in your classroom. Quickly. Let's see. No takers as yet? Nevis, St. Kitts, Jamaica, Grenada, St. Lucia, Trinidad. Anybody? Okay. Here in Antigua and Barbuda, can somebody share one strategy that you're currently using to support accessibility? Ms. Honore? Anyone? Nothing still online? Okay, I didn't see you, Mrs. Pell. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Others? Okay, so since Miss Honore doesn't want to tell, I'm going to tell. Oh, okay.
Thank you. All right, so just like Miss Harrigan, something that I would have learned from a student in my class. Now, from the students that I teach, many of them have low literacy levels. In addition to, we have a student who has Down syndrome, autism, so it's a wide spectrum. And because of the low literacy level, you're teaching from the beginning come up. Now, we learned from a student that you can use your cell phone and take a picture, right? Or you can upload a picture of maybe a passage or something that you're reading, and you click translate to English, and it reads it aloud for you, right? And so it was quite an aha moment for all of us in the classroom that this child has been doing exceptionally well all the time without parental support. However, always able to study because he cracked that little code. He figured that out as a way, that he can access his work while he is home without any parental support. So I'm just sharing that.
So you allowed him to use the Google Translate tool. Okay. So everybody has been talking about Google Classroom for the morning and so on. So what I am going to touch on to continue from Ms. Harrigan is some accessibility tools, features that you can use in the classroom, such as, could you go to the next slide? Go to the next slide. Go to the next. Next, go ahead. I'm skipping something. Yes. some of the accessibility features that you can find in Google Classroom are closed captions in Google Meets, voice typing in Google Docs, screen reader compatibility, keyboard shortcuts and translation tools, as Ms. Honoré mentioned, and immersive reader extension add-ons. Ms. Greenaway and Ms. Daly touched on that. But out of that list, I'm going to zoom in on three, just three. I'm going to zoom in on voice typing, translation, and closed captioning. So for the voice typing, it helps students. Students can speak instead of typing. It's helpful for students with physical disabilities, dysgraphia, or writing difficulties. It's also available in Google Docs under Tools, Voice Typing, and it can support brainstorming and writing fluency. Now, next slide, please. Now let's give it a try. Go ahead, next slide. So here, I was intentional, pause it for me, please. Here, I was intentional not to put any audio to the video for the same purpose, technical difficulties and bandwidth, etc. So I'll explain. You open your you open Google Docs, then you go to a new doc, go to Tools, let it play, thank you, and you go down to Voice Typing. When you get to voice typing, there's a mic there. You just click the mic and you speak. Whatever you say, the words will come up. And when you want to stop, you just click the square where the mic was and it will stop. So this can be used for students who may be able to express themselves well, but lack the ability to write it. This is very effective for that. Next, please. Here are the steps to the video before. Next. Now, this was an activity that I wanted you guys to do, but due to internet issues, this is something that after you would have reviewed my presentation, you can practice it. It is just for you to practice what was done in the video, to actually open a Google Doc and activate the voice-to-text feature. Next slide, please. Translation tools. Now, Google Translate integration supports multilingual learners. You know, we have a lot, especially in Antigua, I don't know about the rest of the region, we have quite a bit of Spanish-speaking students. It is not that they don't learn well or they cannot read, they just cannot read English well. And this feature helps them a lot. Teachers can simplify instructions. Teachers can translate content into preferred languages, and it also promotes family engagement and understanding. When they take home the work, parents, Spanish parents, can help them to translate and so on. So go to the next slide for me, please, so I can show you. Those are the instructions. Next slide. Thank you. Next slide. So here I have a short paragraph. Stop for me, please. Can you go back a little? Go back to the beginning and pause it. No, the beginning of the video. Take it right. Stop there, right. So here it reads, Google Classroom, I can't see clearly. Google Classroom is the ideal platform for mixed ability classrooms because it integrates seamless differentiation. So it's basically just a short paragraph about differentiation and Google Classroom and the importance of how both work together. So then what you would do, you would go to the same tools bar, just as you did with the voice to text feature. You go to the toolbar, and when you scroll down, translate is just below voice text. So once you click that, a pop-up box will come up where you make a copy of the translation, and then you choose the language you want the paragraph to be translated into. And once you click done, it will translate it into Spanish, French, Dutch, Portuguese, whichever language you selected. Play the video, please. Thank you. See, it's translated, the copy. You choose the language. I think I chose Spanish. Yes, Spanish. And then click translate. And the document comes up in Spanish. See, it comes up in Spanish. Thank you. Next slide, please. The final feature that I'm going to look at is closed captions. And closed captions support students who are deaf or hard of hearing. It also helps for attention difficulties and language learners. Available automatically in Google Meets, and it improves comprehension and note-taking. Next, please. Next slide. Okay, so here is Google Meets, and in Google Meets, there is this C, these two small C's here. Once you click on it, it automatically turns on the closed captioning. So when I was recording it, I was talking using this feature here, where you just click the two little small C's and it popped up. But you can also access the closed captioning from a different area. And to turn it off, you just click the same button. Now here, is the video finished? These three little dots here also give you that option. See right here. You click it. Once you click those three little dots, a drop-down box will appear, and then you now will have to toggle it on. You have to press closed caption to engage the closed captioning, and you choose the language from this setting here. So you can make the closed caption Spanish. You can let the closed captioning appear in Spanish or in French, whichever language you decide to choose. Next slide, please. Those are the instructions. Again, the slides will be made available for you to go through and, practice any one of the activities at your own leisure. Next slide, thank you. When you're creating your assignments, please make sure to use clear instructions and a simple layout. I know we all like the fancy look, and we like those bright backgrounds and so on, but we have to consider the needs and the challenges that our students face. Some students cannot function, cannot see certain colors, so you try to keep it as basic as possible. Just like my slides, I just try to keep it black and white, blue and white, because I do not know how my slides will affect the viewer. Everybody don't like bright colors. Break tasks into smaller steps. Use visuals and icons. Use as many pictures as you can. And this is something that I have a problem with personally. I find we don't use culture-sensitive images. When we are presenting information to our students. Instead of telling them about snow, show them a picture of a mango tree. Show them a picture of the beach. Use scenarios and pictures, images that they can relate to. You're going to give them a picture of somebody sliding down a hill in a sleigh and ask them to write a composition. You're going to get a composition with whatever they see on TV. Let them shade, go deep down into when they went with their cousin and they climb a mango tree and somebody fell out and so on. Then you're going to get a solid composition. Keep it culture sensitive, please. Thank you. Now, I have one. Next slide, please. No, I think I missed one. Provide audio or video directions when possible. Google Classroom allows you to do that as well. And allow multiple ways to complete your assignments. Everybody does not have to do a model. You don't have to, everybody don't have to write a poem. Everybody does not have to, doesn't have to draw a picture. Give the children choices and have them choose based on the, you will see the type, the quality of projects that you receive. Give them a choice. Okay? Please, thank you. Next slide. Oh, no, back, sorry. I didn't realize you went to the case study. This case study, let's go through it quickly, please. A student with ADHD struggles to complete online assignments. This should have been a breakout room, but in the interest of time, we'll just do it. Which Google Classroom accessibility tools could help that child? A child struggling with ADHD. And how could the assignment be modified? And you're going to share. Think about it. I'm giving you, do I have 5 minutes, Miss Phillip? 5 minutes for this activity. You're going to pair up. You're going to pair up, especially persons here in Antigua. You're going to find a partner. You're going to pair up, and you're going to answer this question in 3 minutes, and I'll choose 2 groups to share, 1 minute each, so that is 5 minutes. And time starts now. Go. Dr. Murphy, you can pair up with Mrs. Maskell. I'm just pulling your legs. Anybody's ready? 2 minutes is up. You ready? You ready?
Let me bring around the microphone.
Just about to. Let's go quickly.
I'm going to walk around with the microphone.
Okay.
Everybody can.
2 groups.
I'm gonna
Miss
start
Phillip,
with-
just choose any 2. So we know it's this group here and just choose any other one. ahead.
So to assist our ADHD student, first we would use a timer. So that we would use a timer, okay? So you're gonna break up the assignment in chunks and allot a certain amount of time for each chunk, and so the student would use a timer to keep them on task.
So you're answering how could it be modified? That's how you modify. But which one?
We're
of the
using
Google?
the accessibility tool would be the timer.
Okay, go ahead.
Yes. And the modification would be the chunking.
Okay, go ahead. Got that.
All right, Miss King, high five.
That's it.
Thank you for your contribution.
Next pair.
Josette Williams Cannoneer and Chanel Willock Wright. And for our accessibility tool, we have chosen to use private comments. And to modify our assignment, can't go wrong with chunking.
Can never go wrong with chunking. One, that's it? Yes. Okay, so next slide. The next slide would talk about helpful extension tools, which is already placed in the chat. In the interest of time, read and write for Google Chrome. The document in the chat has a link, so you can click on the link, and it will, under each one of the extension tools, there is a link that you can click that will take you directly to a page that you can learn more about that particular tool. Yes, Ms. King? It's in the chat. It's in a document, a PDF document in the chat. Yes, she will share them via email. Ms. Phillip will share them via email. So, next slide. Thank you. Best practices for educator, check readability and font size. Ms. Harrigan mentioned that. Caption videos whenever possible. Provide flexible deadlines when appropriate. Use consistent organization in Google Classroom and regularly gather student feedback. We like to give students feedback, but we don't like to get feedback, and that is important because that's how you get to learn. That's how you get to know your students. You have to let them tell you something. Teacher, I don't like how you teach this because I can't read so good, but I like watching videos. So you know now, in my Google Classroom, I'm going to put some videos in there as well. How many modes you're supposed to appeal to? How many? Thank you. So just for you to think about, next slide, what is one accessibility feature you will begin using when school reopens? What challenge might you face implementing it? And how can accessibility improve outcomes for all learners? Just want you to think about that. And my final thought, accountability is about inclusion and opportunity. Accessibility, is about inclusion and opportunity. Small changes can significantly improve student success, and technology should remove barriers, not create them. And thank you, colleagues, for supporting diverse learners. And resources for further learning, you can go to Google for Education Accessibility Center, CAS Universal Design for Learning Guidelines, Read and Write by Text Help, and YouTube tutorials, and the Google Teacher Center. These are also in the document in the chat, will be sent to you via emails, and there are links that lead you directly to the websites for these further learning resources. Thank you again. I know it's been a grueling day. Thank you very, very much. It was a pleasure.
And thank you, Ms. Shadrack, for that wonderful closing presentation. And with that, you brought our With that, you brought today's engagement to a close. We only have one other activity, which would have been the post-workshop assessment. This is a link that will be shared with you in the email with the other documents, so you can share your feedback with us on the areas that we could have improved upon today, what you would have learned, what you would have found most engaging, what are some other areas that you would like support on in perhaps future iterations of engagements of this kind. And so with that, I will move to the closing remarks. Of course, I want to give special thanks to all of our Master of Ceremonies today, including Mr. Esquire Henry, who was a UN youth, a former member of the UN Youth Advisory Group for Antigua and Barbuda. I would like to also thank our esteemed ministers, including the Honorable Darrell Matthew, although he could not be with us here today, and his representative, the Director of Education, Mr. Claire Brown. I would also like to recognize Honorable Geoffrey Hanley, the Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Education, Youth Empowerment, Gender Affairs, Aging and Disabilities within the government of St. Kitts and Nevis. I wish also to recognize Dr. Reginald Murphy, the Secretary General for the Antigua and Barbuda National Commission for UNESCO, and Her Excellency Neris Dockery, Secretary General for the St. Kitts and Nevis National Commission for UNESCO, alongside Ms. Kisha Gelano, the Secretary General for the Grenada National Commission for UNESCO. To the other members of our head table, Ambassador Timothy Bauer, Permanent Delegate for Antigua and Barbuda to UNESCO, thank you for providing opening remarks today. I also wish to recognize who is with us here, still at the head table, Miss Joyanne Harrigan, who is the Education Officer for the Special Needs Education Unit, for providing us with opening remarks and for giving us a very important context on the work that she has done and continues to do. Thank you so much for sharing those remarks with us. I also wish to recognize Mrs. Andrea Andrew, who is the UN Country Coordinator for Antigua and Barbuda within the Resident Coordinator's Office, for providing us with remarks as well. And of course, closing the opening ceremony was Mr. Eric Fault, the Regional Director for the UNESCO Regional Office for the Caribbean. Thank you for making that recording and for sharing your remarks with us as we close this morning's opening ceremony. Thank you to all of the members of our head table. I also wish to offer a sincere and profound thank you to all of our presenters, specifically, firstly, on the panel for the Media and Information Literacy Awareness Curriculum and Policy, including Ms. Stacy Maskell, Dr. Paul Hector, as well as Mr. Dorr, and for the remarks that were offered by Ms. Sylvia Basher. To our session facilitators, Ms. Josette Daly, Ms. Grinaway, Ms. Latoya Honore, Ms. Laura Barnes, Ms. Joyanne Harrigan, and Ms. Ayana Shadrack. Thank you all for your incredibly informative and interactive presentations, and for engaging all of our different stakeholders in Antigua and Barbuda, St. Kitts and Nevis, Grenada, and throughout the wider Caribbean. And of course, as I close, I have to recognize our sign English interpreters, Mrs. Diane Archibald and Mrs. Josette Hosier, who have played a very significant role in doing the work that we're doing about creating diverse avenues to communicate with different stakeholders and enabling us to ensure that the content of today's workshop is available to additional educators who may themselves have differing abilities. That is very important. And so finally, I want to thank you, our educators, all of you online and in person who have remained with us throughout the day, regardless of the challenges. We have learned much. It has been a very rich and engaging session. And so we want to thank you, recognizing also our civil society members, stakeholders, media partners, in the different formats that you have joined us. We appreciate your presence, and we also encourage you not only to take what you've learned here today in participating with us, but once we share the following information with you after the workshop, that you would also share it with your communities and your additional stakeholder partners to continue our mission of empowerment. And so, of course, I wish you safe onward travels. I thank you so much for your time. And I officially call today's UNESCO SIM Caribbean Media and Information Literacy Training for Educators hybrid workshop to a close. Thank you all.